Margaret never raised her voice. That was the thing Claire could never quite explain to people when they asked why it was so hard. There was nothing to point to. No scene at a wedding, no dramatic confrontation in a kitchen. Just a consistent, pleasant tone that carried the same message across 7 years. You are not quite right for this family. It came in the form of questions. Was Claire still doing that little job of hers? Had she and Daniel thought any more about moving closer? Margaret had a friend whose daughter lived just 12 minutes away. Wasn't that lovely? It came in the way Margaret would touch Daniel's arm when Claire was speaking, a gentle redirect, like tuning away from a station with too much static. Daniel noticed sometimes. He'd say something afterward in the car. Claire would say she was fine. They had an unspoken agreement not to pull that thread too hard because neither of them was sure what would unravel. So Claire learned the geography of family and found her place at its edges. She brought good wine to holidays. She asked Margaret about her garden. She became, over time, very skilled at existing without taking up space. The diagnosis came on a Tuesday in November. Kidney failure, chronic, progressive, the kind that doesn't ask permission. Margaret would need a transplant. The doctors tested the family methodically. Daniel first, then his brother, Kevin, then the cousins who volunteered with the cheerful energy of people who expected to be ruled out quickly. Claire was tested almost as a formality. She wasn't blood. She was just the wife. The call came on a Thursday morning while she was eating toast. The closest match in the entire family was her. She sat with that information for a long time before she told Daniel, not because she was calculating anything. She wasn't. She sat with it because it felt like a strange, heavy gift she hadn't asked for and didn't know how to hold. 7 years of being made to feel like a placeholder, and now her body, her actual cells, were the answer to a problem no one else in that family could solve. There was something almost funny about it. If you stood far enough back, Daniel cried when she told him. He held her face in his hands and said her name twice, like he was making sure she was real. She loved him for that. She had always loved him for exactly that. Margaret didn't call her. That was fine. Claire hadn't expected her to. What she received instead was a card cream-colored, Margaret's careful handwriting, that said, "We are so grateful for your consideration," as if Claire were a contractor who had submitted a bid. She set it on the kitchen counter and looked at it for 3 days. The surgery happened in March. Claire doesn't remember much of the morning itself, the lights, the particular cold of the room, the anesthesiologist who had kind eyes. She remembers Daniel's hand until they wouldn't let him come any further. She remembers thinking clearly and without drama, I hope this works, not for Margaret, for Daniel, because he would not recover from losing her. That felt honest. She held on to it. Recovery was slow and unremarkable in the way that healing always is, unglamorous, incremental, full of days that felt identical. Margaret recovered faster, which the doctor said was typical. Claire watched this information arrive and felt nothing complicated about it. Margaret came to the house once, 6 weeks after. She sat at the kitchen table. She drank the tea Claire made. She looked around the kitchen, at the photographs on the refrigerator, at the herbs growing on the windowsill, at the small, ordinary evidence of a life Claire had built inside a family that had never fully opened its door to her. Margaret didn't say, "I was wrong about you." She didn't say, "I'm sorry." What she said was, "You have a nice home." And Claire said, "Thank you." There was a long silence, the kind that holds more than conversation can. Then Margaret set down her cup and thanked her and left. Daniel asked that night how it went. Claire thought about it, really thought about it, the way you do when an answer matters. "Fine," she said. "It went fine." He looked at her. She looked back. He nodded slowly, like he understood something she hadn't said, and she thought that this particular quiet fluency between them was the thing that had made all of it worth enduring, not the surgery, not whatever Margaret did or didn't feel, just this, just him. Just the fact that she had never, not once, become someone she didn't recognize.